Hello everyone, this is SMA Watts, and we're going to be playing a modern player ran event called Modern Times. And I've been playing straight mono blue merfolk for a while, and I wanted to try something a little different, something I've been considering doing, and I figure might as well give it a shot. This is actually a modern Esper merfolk deck, and it's largely, like at its core, the same deck. Uh, the creature base is only very slightly different, but it has a bunch of extra options from pulling in black and white. Um, Curse Catcher. Oh, I'm just gonna go over what I changed. So what we did is we pulled out Vapor Snags, Spreading Seas, and Spell Pierces. Add in Path to Exiles as just a better removal spell. Inquisitions of Kozilek as a better disruption spell. A Counter Squall as a better counter spell at 2 mana. I mean, it's really just negate, but it's a negate that also happens to shock them. A Dismember. And then I pulled out the Phyrexian Negators and some of the Quarrelhelm Commanders, and those got added in. We added in Sieg. And Sieg can steal a lot of games against decks that don't have sweepers. Because if you can get a Sieg on the table, or even better, if you can Aether Vial in a Sieg in response to a removal spell, and then give your Merfolk protection from the color of the removal spell, you can just pile up the card advantage. Um, we're still running the 12 Lords. If you count Sieg, so technically, if you count Corehelm Commander, we're running 14. If you count Sieg, we've actually gone up to 17. Sieg's not really a Lord. He just has a effect that can affect other Merfolk. It does make Merfolk. It adds a level of complexity, which I like. All right, now our mana base. Our mana base is slightly more, um, slightly, or is vastly more greedy. So still running 20 lands. We have our 4 Mutavaults. We have 3 of the blue-black and 3 of the blue-white shocklands, and 2 marsh flats to find them. This might be a mistake. Maybe they should just be an extra 2 of each shockland. Um, and then we're running 4 of each of the fast lands from Mirrodin, besieged. So we shouldn't ever have a problem with with a land. All of our lands functionally can come into play untapped. So there's that. But really, the worst case scenario is if we were to draw something like Sieg with like a Dark Slick Shore and a Mutavault, where we really have no white, no access to white. Like Sieg is probably the hardest creature to cast in our deck. But we do have functionally 7 white sources and 7 black sources, plus 2 fetch sources. So we should be good most of the time for being able to cast our. Because nothing costs double anything except for blue. Now, one of the other places where this color combination helps us is our sideboard. We can bring in an extra Path of Exile for more removal, an extra Inquisition for more disruption, an extra Dismember for more removal, an extra Counter Squall for more disruption. Stony Silences to screw with artifact decks, and as a catch-all against anything that's doing a combo-y thing, we can bring in Meddling Mage. Meddling Mage enables me to stop some decks that are relying on casting specific cards, or just you can also just Inquisition and then next turn Meddling Mage for value. For instance, if they have 2 lightning bolts in their hand, you can Inquisition, take something other than the lightning bolt, the next turn Meddling Mage the lightning bolt. Worst case scenario, they'll double bolt you in the face, but then you've forced them to use the bolts as direct damage, not removal. That's kind of the changes we're doing. We still have the Dissipates and the Kiras and the Graft. We still have Grafdiggers for Pod. We still have Kiras for the control decks. We still have Dissipates for when we need more counter magic. But other than that, I think our sideboard is a little bit more versatile. I still need to pick up Torpor Orbs at some point, but I don't play against a lot of what is it, Splinter Twin, and that's really where you need the Torpor Orbs against. They're good against Pod as well, but yeah. And I suppose technically if I wanted to go against Splinter Twin, I could just bring in Blind Obedience. That would actually be a good counter to Splinter Twin since they force all the creatures to come into play tapped, and then they can't go off. I may do that. If I run into Splinter Twin, I'll regret not doing it this week, but I may actually bring in, take out a Stony Silence, and maybe a Meddling Mage for Blind Obediences for the Splinter Twin matchup. But that's only if Splinter Twin becomes more of a thing in the play around events. It's not played very heavily. Alright, well, that looks like mostly what we're going to be doing. Thank you for watching, and let's see how we do in the actual event.